Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, good afternoon, good afternoon. You're welcome to our live. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. I can see people are joining and waving. Thank you so much. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Nelson. Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Sammy. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I'll probably just wait a bit so others can actually join. So I don't know if you can hear me. So I'm just waiting for others to join so I can, at least if we have about I would like to say, okay. Good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon. So I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? So can somebody just type if you can hear me? Just say, okay, yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me more? Okay, so, okay. I mean, can you hear me? I'm on the live. Okay, so let me just take this out. Also, can you guys hear me? All right. Good afternoon, and thank you for. Sorry about I think we're 10 minutes a bit late. Sorry about that. I was trying to set up. Uh, okay, my name is Nelson, and I'll probably be talking about the Ireland and the Canada option today. And I know a lot of people have questions regarding, oh, I want to study in Canada, I want to study in Ireland. And I know a lot of people have actually, some people have actually sent me messages saying that, do you guys do Ireland or Canada? Yes, we do Ireland, we do Canada, we do US, and we also do Australia. And then we do UK. I know a lot of you knows we talk about UK a lot on our Instagram. So we are talking about the Canada option today for those who are considering studying in Canada and for those who are also considering studying in Ireland. Okay, I'll start with Canada. I'll start with Canada. So I actually jotted down a few points which I'll probably just take in and then I'll explain them. Okay, I'll probably want to talk about the steps you need to take when you're considering studying in Canada. So what are the steps you need to consider when Canada comes to your mind? A lot of people wants to go to Canada. Trust me, if you open the borders, if you open the border in Nigeria, everybody wants to run to Canada. Yeah, but first is for you to be considering Canada, there are a lot of things you need to put in place, or there are a lot of factors you need to consider before thinking Canada, basically. Now, so I'll be discussing the factors that you need to put in place or put into consideration when considering studying in Canada. Now, one is you have to prepare your finance. Now, finance is a major requirement for those who are actually considering going to Canada to study. Now, when I say finance, I'm talking about money. I'm talking about money. Money is very important when it comes to thinking Canada. Now, how do you prepare your finance? First, you need to understand how much it is or how much it costs to actually come to Canada to study. Now, that's why you have to prepare your finance first. Now, if you're looking at Canada, basically, First is how much is the tuition fee. You need to look at how much is the tuition fee, and most tuition fee in Canada ranges between say maybe between 15,000 to 40,000 Canadian dollars, depending on the school you're actually considering. For those who are actually considering maybe master's program, and majority of the master's program in Canada actually runs for 2 years. So if you're considering a 2 years course, it means that you're looking at the range of 15,000 to 40,000 Canadian dollars for the entire program. Now we have some universities that a little bit cheaper, which is for those who are actually looking at doing, maybe you're considering a graduate certificate course, or you're considering a postgraduate diploma program. Now you see the range of some schools actually have their graduate certificate courses between 15,000 to 25,000 pounds. That's Canadian dollars for 1 year. And most of the PGC, that's the postgraduate certificate course, actually runs for 1 year. So you'll be looking at 15,000 to 25,000, depending on where the college is and the location where it is. Now, your finance. Finance is very important because this is one of the factors that the Canadian Embassy would also take into consideration when an applicant makes a visa application. Now, they want to be sure that you have the required funds. Now, how much do you need to have in your account? Unlike the UK, where you need to calculate your you need to calculate your tuition fee and your cost of living, and then which you need to show in the account for 30 days. For Canada, you have to provide a 6-month bank statement, and the 6-month bank statement, you need to show that you have sufficient money to cover the entire period of your study in Canada. Now, what is the entire cost of living? What is the entire amount you need? First is you need to look at how much is the tuition fee is. Now, you need to look at the school you're going to and how much is the fees. Now, the fees will actually determine how much you need to show in your account. But the truth is, for Canada destination, we usually advise that if you're considering Canada, the higher the money, the better your chances. So you don't do, my tuition is 20,000 Canadian dollars and my cost of living is between 10,000 or 15,000 Canadian dollars, depending on the location or province you're actually going to. Now, if you're calculating it that way, you might not have the enough money for the entire period. So what we do is we advise that the higher the money, the better your chances, or the more the money, the better your chances. Now, so you need to calculate the cost of living. For we say, if you're looking at if you're considering Canada, 15 million naira and above is fine. Then maybe you're also supporting that with other documentations like landed property, any assets you have that can actually prove that, yes, in case this liquid cash is no longer available, you can actually disburse XYZ, which will cost XYZ amount of money, which will actually also increase what you have as liquid cash. This is very important. So 15 million naira should be in your account, minimum of 15 million naira or more. And then you also need to show with supporting documents. Like maybe you have a property on the island, or you have a property in Ikorodu. All you need to do is evaluate the property. How much is this property? Is this property worth? How much is the property worth? If the property is worth 20 million, so you're going to do an evaluation, or you're going to explain it in your introductory letter, saying that, I have attached XYZ property in this location. The market value for this property is 20 million. The market value for this property is 100 million. So that the visa officer who is evaluating your document will actually see that you have actually shown a certain amount you have actually shown a particular figure in your account, and you've also supported your bank statement with other documents to show that, yes, if peradventure the liquid cash is no longer available, you can actually disburse this and that, to which will actually help pay your fees. Now, I know a lot of people have questions about sponsor. Yeah, if you're getting a sponsor to actually sponsor you for Canada, first is there must be a relationship between you and the sponsor. So the sponsor has to show proof. For example, your brother is sponsoring you. You have to show proof that, yes, this person is actually your biological brother. If your uncle is sponsoring you, what's the evidence? How would the visa officer knows that the funds belonging to XYZ, who is claiming to be your uncle, is really your uncle? So you have to show proof of relationship. Now, proof of relationship could be maybe his birth certificate and maybe your mom or your dad's birth certificate, or your their marriage certificate showing that they both have the same parent. That way, it's easy for the visa officer to understand that there's a relationship between yourself and the sponsor. So this is very, very important. Finance is one of the major things to actually look at. So it's important that you can also discuss that with us in case you're considering the Canada option. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Canada is cheap. Canada is cheap. It's cheaper than the UK. The truth about it is, at the long run, when you do your own calculation, you'll find out that it's almost the same or a little bit higher than the UK. One, because majority of their master's program is for 2 years. And one of the things we usually advise students to do is either apply for a course that is more than 2 years, so that when you want to apply for your PGWP, that's the postgraduate work permit, you can actually get your 3 years postgraduate work permit. Okay, so I'll probably just go to the next point I actually jotted. So you have to choose your program. So first is you have to prepare your finance. Be sure that you have the financial capacity, or your sponsor has the financial capacity to actually fund that journey. You could either have somebody sponsoring you. You could either have, maybe you're sponsored by a company, or maybe you are getting a study loan, whatever it is. But be sure that you know what the cost is before going into. So then after that, then you now choose your program. So what program do you want to study? This is another important factor to take into consideration. Now, a lot of people just wake up and say, oh, I want to travel and I want to study a particular course. Canada is not like, I'm sorry to say, it's not like the UK, where you can just go and then maybe do a course that you're not really interested in, or because you want to japa. This is not the case. Japa is not in this case. So if you're considering, you must choose your program. Very important, because first is this program will actually, this is the program you actually study that will actually make you stay in Canada. So it means that you have to be sure of the program. It's not, oh, so I spoke to somebody and somebody said I need to do this course. I need to pick a particular course for because it's in demand, and so I have to do the course and all of that. First is you have to be sure that this course is what you want to do, basically, and is related to. So the course has to be related to what you have done in your first degree. This is also increase your chances of getting your Canadian visa, your Canadian student visa. So first is you have to consider what course are you applying for. A majority of the universities in Canada here would not give you, if you do not have any related background or experience, you will not get that course that you're looking for. So the course has to be related to what you want to do for your master's. That's your first degree and what you want to do for your master's. This is very important. So you need to look at that before considering studying in Canada. If not, you probably just submit an application to a school, and then your application will take about 2-3 months, and at the end of the day, they just send you an email saying that they are sorry that you're not qualified or you do not meet the requirements. So it's important that you take that into consideration too. Another factor to consider when looking at Canada is you have to find a school that has the DLI. What is DLI? That's Designated Learning Institution. So you have to look for a school that has that license, that has that designated learning institution number. That's the only way you can actually apply for. Not all schools, though majority of the public schools are actually DLI accredited. So a lot of them have their DLI number, while some private universities do not. So you can actually go on Google, and the moment you type the DLI institution in Canada, it will give you the list of schools that have the DLI license. So that DLI license helps you. It tells you which course. Another thing to also consider is when you're applying for a course, be sure that that course is under the PGW. So that's the postgraduate work permit. It has a postgraduate work permit. Not all courses have it. So you need to be sure that that course is has that opportunity as well too. So you can actually get that information when you go online. Just type the DLI schools, and then it gives you the list of schools that have that DLI number that is accredited. You also check the courses you want to do. Be sure that that course has the postgraduate work permit option. Okay, now the next question, the next thing is so you need to check the program eligibility. Now it's important that when you're picking a particular course, so I talked about choose a program. Now you have to check the program eligibility. The eligibility is if you're qualified for that program. You've done a program for your first degree and you want to do maybe you want to do a program for your master's. Apart from the general requirement, it's important that you check the course requirement itself, the program requirement, because most times a lot of people do not know the difference. They just go online and say, oh, the general requirement is this. Unlike, it's quite flexible for the UK. Oh, minimum requirement, some schools will say for all courses, as far as you have a bachelor degree, a minimum of 2.2 and a minimum of maybe 2.1, then you can actually apply. It doesn't work like that for most Canada schools. So apart from the general requirements, you have to be sure that you've been able to check the program requirement. What is the program requirement? For some programs, they would say that you need to have, within the last 2 years of your program, of your undergraduate degree, you need to have at least a 3.0 over 4.0. That's why it's difficult for a 2.2 to actually get a direct master's into a Canadian school. So most Canadian schools will actually request for a 2.1. So if you're on a 2.2, it's difficult to actually get schools to actually take you into their master's program. That's why a lot of people actually fall back to the option of actually applying for either a PGC, that's the postgraduate certificate course, or the postgraduate diploma program, depending on which particular area of concentration you're looking at. So it's important that you check the program requirement. Very, very important. Now, I'll now talk about some of the requirements for these programs, or for majority of the programs. First is, Canadian schools will actually require you need to submit an official transcript. So official transcript is very important. Now, for some schools, because of the situation of things, they can actually take the student copy of your transcript. So they can actually accept the student copy of your transcript. They can accept they can accept your degree certificate, your WAEC, your CV, and your statement of purpose. Statement of purpose is one of the important documents in terms of submitting an application. It's important that you have a very detailed statement of purpose. Unlike it's not like the UK that you can always write and then they'll consider. It's important that you have to detail your statement of purpose. They want to know why you have chosen to study that course. They want to know what plans do you have after school. Why did you choose to study Canada, and why did you choose the Canada as an option? So you have to write your plans after school, why you chose the program. You should be able to talk about the research. You should be able to talk about the thought course. You should be able to talk about. So it's important. So we have a template of how the statement of purpose should look like, so we can always share with our students. Okay, so another thing that is important that they consider as well is that's reference letter, recommendation letter. Either you say recommendation letter or reference letter. So some of the schools will say they need you to submit 3 references, either 1 professional and 2 academic. And obviously, they do not accept a reference letter with an email, with a personal email address. It has to come with the school official email. So, for example, you attended university, or let's just say Unilag, University of Lagos, and you want to get a reference letter from one of your lecturers. It has to be lagbaja@unilag.ed.ng. Anything outside that, they will not accept the reference, because they are going to email the reference to actually tell them. So they're going to send the reference or the referee an email saying that they should recommend you and tell them what they know about you and all of that. So it's important that you take all of this into consideration while you're considering the Canada option. Okay, so we've talked about the academic requirements. So after that, you either get the LOO, that's conditional, that's letter of acceptance. There's letter of acceptance, there's letter of offer, The letter of offer most times is usually some of the schools will either give you LOO, that's letter of offer. That letter of offer means that you've actually been granted a conditional offer to meet certain conditions, just like you have in the UK. So they send you that letter. If there are conditions for you to meet, all you need to do is ensure that you meet those conditions. And when you meet the conditions, then you get your LOA, that's letter of acceptance. Now, for some schools, some universities in Canada would request that you pay an initial deposit like the UK, while some will actually say you don't need to pay a security deposit. Majority of the schools will say you need to pay a security deposit. It could be 2,000, it could be 4,000, it could be 5,000, and then when that payment is confirmed, then they are going to send you your that's your LOA, letter of acceptance. Okay, so we are going to the next one, which is okay. Then the second to the last is you have to gather your documents. That's your you have to gather your document. What documents are we talking about? We're talking about your bank statement. We're talking about your sponsorship letter. We're talking about your transcript. That's your school document. We're talking about any other documents that you have to show that you have home ties in Nigeria. What home ties do you have? They consider this very, very important. So you need to, if you're married, yes, your family could be your home ties. So if you're looking at traveling with your family, Canada is also a good option. So you can also travel with your dependent. But it's best you just make the application first, and when you get your visa, then your family can actually apply. It's safer that way to apply alone, get your visa, and then your family can actually apply thereafter. So you need to gather your documents, your bank statement. You need to do medical reports. That you need to do medicals. We advise you do upfront medicals, or we also advise that you also need to do what's it called, the police character. That's the police report. Your bank statement, your academic documents, that's your school document, transcript, degree certificate, your CV, your work, data page of your international passport, medical reports, and then a police character to show that you do not have any criminal record in Nigeria. So those are the documents that you would need to submit with any other supporting documents that shows that you're eligible, or you're qualified, or you're a genuine student for the visa application. Okay, then when all those documents are ready, then you can now make the application. Then when you make the application, so there are two options. It's either your application is approved or your application is refused. But if your application is refused, you can actually it comes with a refusal note where it states why you were refused. Or you could actually order for your GCMS note, and that tells you why the main refuser is. What's the main refuser, or what is the major reason for the refuser? So if you get that, there are two options to it. It's either you get an immigration lawyer to help you appeal the decision, or you reapply again, adding those documentations that they have actually requested for. So it's important that when you're submitting your visa application, there are lots of documentations. No document, the document is never enough. All you need to do is provide more than enough documents to show the embassy that you are a genuine student, and the main purpose of your coming to Canada is actually to come and study, and then you would probably leave after your study. Though you are entitled to the post-study work visa anyway, that's the postgraduate work permit. So if you're doing a course below 8 months, it means that for some courses below 8 months, you probably not get any post-study work permit. But if you're doing a course more than 8 months, maybe more than 8 months to 1 year, you probably get like 1 year PG, that's post-study work permit. So most times, it's always advisable, if you're coming to Canada, consider a 2 years master's program, either a 16 months or a 2 years master's program, which will actually give you the opportunity of applying for the postgraduate work permit, which is usually for 3 years. And this means that after your 3 years, you can actually use that to actually apply for your PR. That's your permanent resident permit. So for those who probably want to settle in Canada, and you're saying, oh, I want to come to Canada, it's actually a good option. So after your program, you have your 3 years post-study work permit, and after that you can actually apply for your permanent resident. So that's a route to applying for your permanent resident. So it's important that these documentations are on place or on ground, are available before considering studying in Canada. So I'll probably just summarize it again, and then if you have questions, I'm open, so you can actually ask your questions. Sorry, I've been talking and talking and talking, and I think I know a few people have questions to ask me regarding Canada. So there are a lot of things that will probably put in place if you're using us as this thing. Can the proof of funds be done by Nexi? Unfortunately, we cannot do the proof of funds. Unfortunately, we can't do proof of funds for Canada. And now, so let me talk about the proof of funds basically, and why it's important that the finance is a major thing to consider. Now, if you're looking at submitting proof of funds for Canada, now Canada does not. Now, so you need to submit a 6-month bank statement. Now, in the 6-month bank statement, you need to show that you have you or your sponsor. Most times, we don't encourage self-sponsor. For example, the applicant is saying, "I'm the one sponsoring myself." How do you convince the visa officer that if you get to Canada and you don't get a job, you'll be able to sustain yourself? So it's best to get somebody who is related to you, who is sponsoring you, to actually stand in as your sponsor, because you can actually sponsor yourself, but it's not always advisable, because they will assume that for the next couple of years you will not be working, or probably you're coming to study. Even if you're going to work, you're taking the 20 hours per week to work, and trust me, 20 hours per week is not enough to actually say you want to use that to raise money to actually pay your fees. So that's what the visa officer looks at, and it's at the discretion of the visa officer. So you have to put yourself in the shoes of the visa officer. If I submit this bank statement, does it look like, or me being the visa officer, does this look realistic? So you have to look at that too. So POF for Canada, it's a little bit dicey, and they do not, when there's a lump sum. Sorry, okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can still hear me. So if you're considering Canada, basically, it's important that you look at the bank statement, which is 6-month bank statement. So majority of the school, the embassy would need to see. So if there's a lump sum of money, if a lump sum enters the account, it means that you need to explain where the money is coming from. Now, you cannot submit an account statement that probably does not have a large sum of money sitting in the account for 2 or 3 months. For example, you have an account statement where, even if your account statement is showing that 500 million or 500 billion has come in and gone out of the account, it's still not a guarantee. It's still not a guarantee that you have enough money. They want to see a certain amount of money or a lump sum sitting in the account for a minimum of 2 or 3 months. That's the only way they can actually believe that that money belongs to the sponsor. If the sponsor is actually submitting a company account or a business account, and the business account has millions coming in and going out, but the millions have not sat in that account for a while, so it's difficult to actually convince the visa officer that that funds actually belongs to the main to the sponsor. Okay, I want to apply. So sorry, I need to keep saying. Okay, so if I apply for a 1-year course and I apply for another 1-year course, am I eligible for? So it's better to just apply for, instead of saying you want to apply for a 1-year course and apply for another 1-year course. It's best to just apply for a 2 years course while you're in the first place, than coming to say you want to apply for a 1 year and after that you now apply for another 1 year. So it won't be. I really don't know so much about if that will be considered about this thing, but is at a goal you're expected to run a course for a minimum of at least 16 months. So if you're running a program for 16 months or more, the moment you're completing the program, you are applying for your post-study work permit. That's what it means. But if you want to do a 1 year first, I'll probably get a 1 year, because the truth is, if you do a 1 year, you get a 1 year post-study work permit. And then maybe when you finish that, you cannot do another 1 year and still get another 1 year. If that be the case, then that's fine. But the truth is, you probably might not get up to 3 years. So it's best to just do a direct 16 months or more, or do a course that is more than 12 months, so that you'll be able to get the 3 years post-study work visa. Okay, so let me just answer. Can the proof of funds be done? Okay, no. For postgraduate certificate course or postgraduate diploma, can I come with my dependent? Yes, if you're actually coming if you're actually coming to Canada to study for more than 8 months, you can actually come with your dependent. This means that you can actually come with your dependent. Your dependents are eligible to apply for their open work permits, but this will be after you have gotten your study permit. Okay. Before now, somebody actually asked me what is the difference between student visa and study permit. Now, student visa is a document that allows you, or is a visa that allows you to come to enter and re-enter Canada as long as it's still valid. So that's a student visa. So student visa is what you get when you make your visa application. So when your visa application is granted, so what you get is the student visa. Then it means that gives you the license, or that gives you the legal license entering Canada, going out of Canada, and coming in to Canada as far as your student visa is valid. Then your study permit is a document that you get upon arrival. That's at the point of entry, or port of entry, you get the study permit. That study permit allows you to stay and school in Canada as well as work in Canada. Okay. I don't know if I'm answering. Okay. So my request to be, okay, somebody sent a request to be in the video. If I apply for a 1 year course, can I get another? Okay, that's another question. Somebody saying, what other ways aside family can you say would show? So outside family, what other ways can you show that sponsor? Okay. If you're looking at sponsorship, it's either you are being sponsored by an organization, a body, that's an NGO, or you're sponsored by, or you have a study loan. These are the options that you have. Either you get a study loan, or you are sponsored by an organization. And so if you're sponsored by the organization, you're going to get a letter from that organization addressing it to the UK, to the Canadian embassy, that you are being sponsored, and all all your fees are actually taken care of by them. Another option you can actually explore is the option of getting scholarship. For those who are considering research program, though it's a bit dicey and it's a bit lengthy if you want to apply for a research program in Canada, there are some programs that actually gives you full scholarship. So some of those programs give you full scholarship. Programs like MSc Chemistry, if you're doing that program, and some sciences, you can actually use that to get, for some research courses, you can actually get full scholarship for that. So for those who are looking at the research course or research programs, you can actually try to see if you can get scholarship from Canada, from any of the Canadian schools. Yes, it's possible that you can actually all of that. Okay, so while I'm waiting for questions, I'll probably just talk about, I think I have to talk about Ireland as well, and also since I've talking, I think there are two options I'm going to be talking about, which I've talked about the UK option, and I'll also be talking about Ireland. Now, Ireland is also a good destination for international students. So a lot of students who don't want to go to a very far place like Canada, because Canada is quite far from Nigeria if you're looking at. So if you're looking at maybe within 6 hours you are there already, you're looking at a place where you can just board the flights, and then in 6 hours or thereabouts you are there. Ireland, Dublin is a destination you can also consider. So it's also a good destination for international students. One of the beautiful things about Ireland is that the island education is one of the best in Europe. So those who are looking at studying in Europe, yes, Ireland is a good destination for that. It's one of the best destination in Europe. Okay, so while let me just take this question so that it doesn't. For the purpose of sorry, I'm coming. Let me just increase. For the purpose of increasing your chances to get your visa approval, how can you show that you will return back to your home country? Okay, now there are certain informations I probably might not um, give you here because so that it doesn't look like we are encouraging some acts and all of that. So you can actually DM us and I'll tell you what other documentations are needed, or you can actually submit to show proof as hometowns. Just DM us and say, okay, you asked the question about this, and then I'll probably have to, you can actually ask to speak with me, and I'll give you more information about what documents you need in support as additional documents to show your hometowns in Nigeria. Okay, so how does the island work? Okay, so I was talking about Ireland. Ireland is a good destination for international students. It has a low crime rate. It has the truth about it is racism in Ireland is not as much as some other countries. So you have the Irish people; they are friendly people. It's a multicultural city. It's a small country, not like Canada, and you have the opportunity of there are a lot of job opportunities. Now, for those who are currently or who have done something in IT, trust me, Ireland is the destination for you. Ireland is a good. Ireland is actually a hub for technologies. That's IT. So most of the IT companies are actually based in Ireland. Like you have Google, you have IBM, you have Microsoft, you have a lot of them are actually in Ireland. And the beautiful thing is the Irish economy actually welcomes businesses. So businesses in Ireland actually pays about I think 25% tax. So a lot of them are actually running to Ireland to actually have their head office in Ireland. So LinkedIn, Google, Microsoft, a lot of them are actually in Ireland. So you find them in Ireland. So if you're doing a course in IT, trust me, the Ireland is actually a very good destination for you. Now the thing is, when you're considering Ireland, there are one or two things you need to put in place. First is you have to pick a course that is under the critical skills, so that you'll be able to stay back. Because the truth is, I know a lot of us are actually looking for a destination where we can actually go to and then probably find our fortune. Basically, I know don't want to come back. A lot of us don't want to come back. We're looking for a country where we can relocate. So if you're considering Ireland for relocation purpose, it's important that you pick a course that is under the critical skills. So if you're able to pick the course under critical skills, this means that you have been able to meet one of the requirements, which means you'll be able to apply for your Irish permanent visa after a period of time. That's after you've been able to stay there for at least a minimum or close to 5 years. Okay, so I'll probably I think I jotted out some things. It's an English speaking country, so you don't have to bother about, oh man, I have to how do I speak, how do I communicate. The truth about it is they all communicate in English, so you'll be able to communicate with your classmates, you'll be able to communicate with your lecturers, you'll be able to do things in English and communicate. So you don't have to learn language. There's no language barrier for those who are considering studying in Ireland. And the one of the things that, or I would say, one of the disadvantage Ireland has is the fact that for the people who are considering Ireland, you means that you have to have your money, your tuition fee in full. So it means that your tuition fee has to be paid in full. So one of the requirements is, or part of the requirement for making an application to study in Ireland is you have to provide your degree certificate, you have to provide your transcript. Now, for some universities, some of the universities actually waive the English language proficiency. That's the maybe you're submitting WAEC. Some of them take WAEC, but you need to write what's it called, Ielts. IELTS is actually one of the major requirements for visa application. So you need to, if you're probably looking at an undergraduate program, you have to have at least a minimum of 6.0. Then if you're looking at a master's program, you also need to have at least a minimum of 6.5, at least 5.5 in each band. And for some courses, or for some, you're required to show at least have a 6.0 in each band, and then have an overall of 6.5. So it's important that you also take that into consideration, that when you're looking at Ireland, first is your fees has to be paid in full when you have gotten your offer. You also need to write test of English. Either you're writing IELTS, or you're writing Pearson, or you're writing Duolingo, or you're writing IELTS, Pearson test of English, or the Duolingo. Those are the English tests that require English tests needed for your visa application. Can I study in Ireland without IELTS? Unfortunately, you cannot study. You can actually apply to get offer for Ireland, but you need an IELTS to actually submit for your visa application. It's part of the requirements for visa application. So it's one of the major requirements you need to submit for visa application. And one of the beautiful things is Ireland has a young, vibrant population of 40%. So the young, vibrant population is like 40%, and the 40% are actually under the age of 25. So trust me, you want to do something in IT, you've done a course but not in IT, and you want to convert, like a conversion course, yes, you can actually do this in Ireland. All you need to do is just show the embassy that you have, or show the school that you have done something in IT, either based on your work experience or you've done a certification in IT, and you'll be able to. So IT guys are actually in demand. Like, they get jobs easily in Ireland. There are other professions you can actually or courses you can actually do in Ireland that actually gives you. That's why you have to check the critical skills. This is one important thing that you need to do when you're considering Ireland. What are the courses that or professions that are under the critical skills? So unfortunately, I cannot share that now with you, but you can actually get that online. So all you need to do, or you send this, I can send you a list of the professions or courses that are under the critical skills. Okay, so do we also need to show proof of funds for Ireland? Yes, you have to show proof of funds for Ireland. Now, the proof of funds for Ireland is quite different from the UK. Now, for proof of funds for Ireland, you have to show 6-month bank statement. Now, the 6-month bank statement is just like the UK, just like the Canada option too. They do not 6-month bank statement with a closing balance of, at least the cost of living in Ireland is about €7,000. That's what is on the school. That's what is on the Irish website. But we usually advise students to have at least 10,000 euros. So if you calculate 10,000 euros, will give you about just say approximately 5 million. So if you can have 5 million naira in your account as a closing balance, as at when you're making your visa application, and then you have paid your full fees, there's your chances of getting it, and with the other supporting document is actually high. So you have to show proof of funds for your bank statement for 6 months with a closing balance of that amount. Now, we also advise that you do not do a lump sum of money in the account. Now, I would explain how the visa process works for Ireland. Now, if you are considering Ireland, first is be sure that you're submitting your 6-month bank statement. Now, you have to show where the money is coming from. For example, if you're submitting, if you have a sponsor, your sponsor has to show how they make money. For example, if they're employed, they need to submit their employment letter and their pay slip. They have to show their pay slip. So, and also you also need to interpret whatever it is on the financial statement. That's the bank statement. If there are lump sum of money coming in and going out of that account, that is not the salary. You have to start explaining where those funds are coming from. It's important that you explain those funds. If you do not explain the funds, the application will be refused. They are very, very strict when it comes to your proof of funds. So you have to explain where you're getting your proof of where the sponsor is actually getting money from. So, for example, you're earning 1 million, and 1 million comes in every month. And outside the 1 million, they see 20 million, they see 10 million, they see 5 million coming in, and all of that. So, you have to tell them what other business do you do that is bringing in this money. And if that money belongs, not just explaining to them, but with evidence. So, for example, somebody pays in the money into your account for a certain purpose. All you need to do is, if you can get an evidence that this payment was done for this purpose, you add that to the application. Yes, you are good to go. If you cannot explain or interpret what is on your bank statement or your sponsor's bank statement, that application will be refused. Also, if you have been refused any visa to any country before, the Irish embassy requires that you submit the hard copy of the refusal letter. For example, an applicant who has been refused UK, has been refused US, has been refused Canada, has been refused, you have to submit all the refusal letters. And it's important that you have to submit it. But if you do not have some of these refusals, you can always explain that, you can't find this XYZ refusal letter for this reason. So as far as there's an explanation to it, you'll stand a better chance of getting the visa. Now, another factor, again, when you're considering making an application or visa application to Ireland, is you have to provide, if you have worked, you need to tell them what you've been doing. Gap in your education is very important. You have to explain. From so year, I finished university in 2020. For example, I finished university in 2019, and then I did my NYSC in 2020, and I finished 2019 to 2020. 2020, I got a job, or I was home, or I wasn't doing anything to 2021. You have to explain what you did within between 2020 to 2021. If not, the application will be refused. So it's important that you explain even if it's 2 months or 3 months you were not doing anything, you have to explain that between this period to this period, I was busy doing this, or I was somewhere doing this and all of that. It has to be explained. Now, so they also need you to submit your CV as well too. The truth about it is, it's a very direct process, but all you need to do is just get the checklist. If you're able to get the checklist, you do not have a problem. If you're able to get the checklist and you can provide all of this information, trust me, your chances of getting the Irish visa is very, very high. And the Irish, what's it called? Ireland also gives a 2-year stay back option as well. So if you're an international student going to do a master's program for 1 year, you're entitled to the 2 years post-study work visa. And it's quite easy to actually migrate while you're in Ireland. So you can actually migrate after your post-study work visa. And the beautiful thing is, there are lots of job opportunities. So you can also do your research. You can also go online and also do more findings on what I have said. And you'll find out that it's a very good destination for a lot of international students. And for those who are actually looking at doing research as well too, probably while you're studying, you also want to take some research courses. Yes, Ireland is actually a good place to achieve that, because a lot of people from India actually come to Ireland to actually do their research. And they also have lovely places you can actually visit. The city is also a friendly place. Okay, somebody is saying, can you go with dependents after study? What happens? Okay, unfortunately for now, the Ireland does not welcome dependents. So if you are looking at the dependent option, Ireland is not a destination for you. So you either consider the Canadian option, you consider the UK option, you consider the Australian option, and maybe the American option as well. Those countries are actually going to allow you to come in with your dependent. For Ireland, for now, they do not welcome dependent. Okay, is this applicable to the UK visa? Where did you, employment and reference letter was provided. Okay, anyways, we're talking about the Canada option and the Ireland option, but I will just take this question. For the UK, majority of the schools do not request for reference letter. I would say they request, some of the schools would say, okay, you need to submit maybe professional reference from where you have worked. not like the professional reference the embassy requires. The embassy for UK, basically, I would say the UK embassy, that's the UK via, a little bit flexible compared to that of the Ireland and Canada. So all you need to do is just get a letter from where you have worked saying that you have worked in this place from this period to this period, and then make your visa application, then you're good to go. But for Ireland, you have to get either your employment letter, you need to submit your employment letter. You also need to submit either submit employment letter or your reference letter from your employer from the places you have worked from when you left school till date. So if you have taken, for those who have said, okay, oh, they didn't do anything for a period of time, they went to learn a trade or they went to learn something. But if there's a certificate, or you probably those who did hair making, or those who actually went to learn a particular skill, all you need to do is you get a letter from your employer who has taught you to say, okay, from this period to this period, so person was here and the person actually worked, was involved, blah blah blah, and all of that. Okay. Sorry, let me see if there are other questions. Can you go with your dependent? You can't go with your dependent. Proof of funds. Okay, great news. Okay. Can I have a study allowed without Ielts? No. Okay, so somebody is asking, please repeat the program that enables PR in Ireland. Like I said, there are lots of programs that you can actually there are a lot of professions that you can actually get into that will actually give you the PR in Ireland. But what you can do with it, all you need to do is just go to Google it and say, okay, what are the professions under the critical skills? So you probably see the professions under, there are lots of them. There are a lot of them that you can actually do. IT, human resource, anything in computing, data analytics, business analytics, then some business courses, accounting for those who are probably looking at doing accounting. Yes, you can actually do accounting, and that's like a professional course, and then you can actually apply for their professional program and then to become a chartered accountant in Ireland. So when you actually go online, Google critical skills, professions under critical skills in Ireland, you're going to see a lot of them you can actually apply to. Okay, so if you have questions for me, you can actually drop your questions. These two locations I've talked about, the Canada and the Ireland locations, are actually locations you can actually consider if you're looking at studying in any of these locations. Another thing I would also encourage people to do is, if you're looking at studying in Ireland, for those who want to actually pursue a master's program in Ireland, in Canada, it's important you start as quick as possible, because majority of them, their programs are closed earlier than expected. So most times you just go on the page and then you see the courses are actually closed for September 2023. So it's important that you start the process of your documents now if you're considering studying in Canada. It's best to start 1 year ahead of the course start date. Now, the visa takes about 12 weeks, which is about 3 months. But trust me, that's the official processing time. But sometimes this visa application takes longer than 12 weeks. So the earlier, the better. The earlier, the better for everybody when you're considering Canada. Canada, everybody wants to go to Canada. And trust me, it's a good destination. It's a place that you can actually come and study if you really want to study. It's a place you can actually study and then have a professional life, basically. Okay, and you are also entitled to 20 hours per week to work. Somebody's asking me, can I defer my admission when I get to Canada? Yes, you can actually defer your admission, but you need to talk to the school about it. And if the school gives you, if the school approves it, then that's fine. So the school would only give you 150 days. And that 150 days, it means that they are only giving you 150 days of absence, leave of absence. They call it leave of absence, that's LOA. But it means that you will not leave Canada. You have to be in Canada and you cannot work within this period. So for Canada, somebody's asking, for Canada, is it compulsory for my family? Is it compulsory my family applies for their visa immediately I get my own, or I will need to be in Canada first? So the truth is, the moment you get your student visa for Canada, your family can actually apply immediately. You don't have to be in Canada. You can either wait for you can either choose to be in Canada before they apply, or they can actually apply immediately. All they need is you have your student permit already, so they can actually apply for the open work permit immediately. Most times you can actually, the option of applying with them together with them is also available too, but we advise that you just make the application yourself and then use them as home tiles instead of applying with them. Okay, before they apply. Okay, so okay, I'm still waiting. If there are questions, I'll probably be willing to answer those questions. Probably, can you go? Okay. I want to say thank you to everybody that has actually joined the live, and we are always available to answer your questions. If you're considering any of the locations we've mentioned, you're looking at the UK option, you're looking at the US, you're looking at Canada, you're looking at you're looking at Australia, you're looking at Ireland. Yes, we can actually help you help you process any of these locations, and trust me, we know our onion. We can actually we know what we do, and we know the best advice to actually give you when we evaluate or when we look at what you have, and I will be able to tell you which country actually flies for you and all of that. As far as you have your sponsor and your sponsor has enough money and you can show proof of relationship within yourself and your sponsor, Canada, Ireland is a good option for those who are not looking at the UK option. So for those who are looking at, I want to go to a place that the visa is sure, you can actually DM us. I will tell you which country has the surest visa route and the ones that you can actually. Okay. What's the time? I think. Sorry. Okay, I've actually done like 1 hour. Okay. 1 hour. Are there other questions that people probably want to ask? I'm available to answer those questions. And okay. Okay, so let me just use this opportunity to say that we'll be having another live on Saturday, 1 p.m. Saturday. So if you can actually still give us your attention, give us your time, you can still join us on our Instagram live on Saturday, 1 p.m. And then you'll probably get to meet one of our students who just recently graduated or who just graduated from Birmingham City University. She actually did that's cyber security and data analytics. That's what she studied. So she'll probably be here, and then she'll probably want to tell us how her journey, how it has been for her from the beginning from when she started the application and now that she has graduated. She's currently doing well in the UK. She got a better job in the UK, and she will probably want to tell you how it went for her and what she did to actually get. She got the job. What she did to actually get that job. So she will probably be here telling us more about the UK, more about Birmingham City, more about other universities that you probably might be interested in. So if you're looking at starting your January dream, it's best you start now, because majority of the schools are actually closing in application early enough because of the volume of applications they have. Trust me, they are overwhelmed. So the earlier the better. The earlier you start your application, the better for yourself, so that you can actually help. It gives you enough time to plan, to get your offer, go for your TB, or go for your medicals for Canada. So you really don't need medical. You don't need any medical this thing for Ireland. But if you're looking at Canada option and the UK, you have to do your TB or you have to do your medicals for Canada. So it's better to start on time, because I know one of the major requirements is transcript, and a lot of people do not have transcript at the moment. So if you have not started processing your transcript or passport, or you do not have a passport, it's best to start the process for passport now, because passport takes a while. You have to book for biometrics, and the only way you can achieve this is if you start the process on time. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has actually joined this live, who has actually taken either 10, 20 minutes or 5 minutes of their time to be part of this live. We want to say a big thank you to you. We appreciate you a lot, and we hope to see more of you here again and again and again. And we promise we're going to be giving you a lot of insightful, give you information that can actually help you make your decisions. But we are open, so you can always DM us. You can always send us a DM if you have questions. I know some people don't want to paste their questions online, so you can actually send us a DM, and we'll be willing to actually respond to your message. Please, if we don't respond in the next 1 or 2 hours, please just give us time. We'll still respond, because we have a lot we are responding to. Thank you so much for your time, and hope to see you guys on Saturday, 1 p.m. Nigerian time. Thank you so much, and see you guys later. Bye.